right, Matt, I think we're live.
Woo!
So, first question for me is, can I call you Papa Bear?
You can definitely call me Papa Bear.
So, I'm kind of curious. I want to hear all about the product and your story and all that fun stuff, but I want to hear about Papa Bear and what that means to you and where that came from.
Sure. So it's kind of a brand place. We're quite a easygoing culture. We're quite a fun culture. If you've ever been to our site, I think that will come through quite a lot. And so we do have iconography for our brand. So our brand is a bear waving. No real reason. We just thought about it when we first started the company. We wanted to use an animal, and someone pulled up a picture of a bear waving, and we're like, that's going to be our logo. And then it kind of spiraled from there, where it kind of got out of hand, and we started sending bears to customers when they hit certain milestones. We started sponsoring bears in Russia. We sponsor koala bears for customers here in Australia. And now what we do is every team member who joins the company gets to order their own bear suits. We have a custom manufacturer where they can choose from 100 different materials and make up their own bear suits. And now whenever we have team retreats, everyone comes in them together, and we all go and like hit like the beaches or go camping wearing bear suits. And so Papa Bear just has to be
pretty awesome. I love it. That's great. I talk about fun cultures. I had to throw my mug in here. I don't know if you can see it, but we've got our good old fuck mediocrity mug. So big fans of that. And so I get it and having fun. And we've got a great little office and culture here as well.
Yeah, look, work is like how much, like I spend more time with my colleagues than I do with my wife and child. So the way I see it, if you're not enjoying it, like change your job. Like you're in the wrong place. 100%.
Yeah. That's awesome that you have a great culture. And I definitely, it'd be great to hear more about kind of what you've done with your team and how you've grown that. But first, I want to hear about your product and what you guys do and how you came to create it.
Sure. So I'll tell the story of how we created it, and that will explain the product in the easiest way. So we were based out of Australia, which is a wonderful country, but it's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And we were building a kind of
most of us only know Crocodile Dundee, so that's it.
Yeah, he's the only guy. I've got a Crocodile Dundee hat here. I should have put it on for the call. So we were basically building like an agency, all like tech as well, where we did video for use in qualitative research. So we'll work with big companies like Procter and Gamble, Danone, and they'll use us to basically send out surveys to people in China and India and Japan and America, and then we'll have people actually doing videos of how they use products in the home, and that's used for research. Now we were building this company. That there were only 3 of us. We were based here in Sydney, Australia, and all of our leads and customers were in London, Paris, and New York, because we deal with large FMCGs and large agencies. That's the kind of epicenter of that industry. So back to sales, which was my job. We had this challenge where our leads would come in and I'd be asleep because Australia, like 12 hours time difference. So I could never hop
there now.
5 o'clock there now, yeah. Yeah, so I can never hop on a call and just get people. And go back to the enjoyment thing. Like we love what we do. We're a lot of fun. That really comes through in how we sell. It works just really well. So we knew this worked. So I used to take a ferry to work. So I would take a boat that would go into the city. If you've ever been to Australia, it goes past the Opera House, which is pretty iconic. Yeah. So I'd run to the front of the boat, and basically we look at our leads from the night before. We'd see John from Ogilvy signed up, and I would do a video for John. I'd be like, hey, on my smartphone, I'd be like, hey, John, this is Matt here from the Verbate team in Australia. There's the Opera House. Saw you came in last night. Just want to say welcome on board. We've already worked with Budweiser and Danone and Huggies, who I see you guys work with. I'll be in London in 6 weeks' time. Like, let us come in and show you what we do. And we would package up that email and send it off as the first point of contact. So they wouldn't get anything before that. That's the first thing they would get. Now, we tripled that response rate straight away. And people would reply and they'd be like, look, I can't really understand you because there's too much wind, but you look like a heap of fun. This is great. The Opera House is amazing. Like, you have to come in and see us. And so people loved it. And we started to build this because, again, so we had tech resources. So my CTO started to build a little hack where I would basically record the video and it would put it into an email and send it automatically. And ultimately, one of those clients where I was in the UK, they were like, "What is this video email thing you guys use?" And I was like, "It's just a piece of shit that we built on the weekend." And they were like, "Well, can we use it?" And we're like, "Why not?" And then they started using it, and then one of their clients came in and wanted to use it, and then one of their clients started to use it, and that started to snowball. So we launched it in 2017, and it overtook the main business within about 12 months, and it's grown a lot faster. We still have the main company, but it's just small, and we just do it out of the UK now. But that basically snowballed to where we are today.
And isn't that how a great product story comes up? You kind of hack an idea together, and then other people are like, "Wait a second, I would like to be doing that too."
I think what makes it good is you actually solve the needs. A lot of companies, and I've had failed startups. Like, this is not my first rodeo. We're not an overnight success. We've had ones where we've tried to build probably more for want, things people want to have rather than need. And we had a problem where we weren't converting enough leads and we were running out of money, and we're like, we need to do whatever it takes. So we solved our need. Turns out that's a need for lots of other people who are in the same industry as us.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's awesome. What was so you kind of talked about the initial product being something you hacked together. What was kind of life cycle? Did you then like build an MVP and launch that? And like, what did it look like, the trajectory?
Yeah, so that first product was the MVP. We put it out. It looked disgusting, but it worked. And interestingly, if you have customers who use that, that's when you know you kind of got something, because everyone was like, we don't care, like, it's fine, like, this is great. We then I think made one of our best insights was realizing that because we were obviously doing it in a funnel, so we were responding to leads that were coming in. We then worked out how to plug this into CRMs and to customer data sources. So if you use a Salesforce or an Intercom or even a Shopify or Patreon, we sit in those systems, and when customers perform certain triggers, so a new lead comes in, or a new customer pays, or somebody hits their 1 year anniversary with you as a company, or somebody needs to leave a review, that we actually pick them up and we send them into the system automatically and notify you and say, hey, now's a good time to send the video to Jenny or John. And these videos are being done for a reason. So they're not just off the cuff, they're done to convert leads or to activate customers or to drive testimonials. So that was the next step that we took. And when we did that, then the floodgates opened.
That's awesome. Now, you said you had done a couple startups before. What was your life kind of prior to your current companies?
Yeah, so I'm actually from the UK. I was an industrial designer. So I was making pieces for Rolls-Royce engines and early phones, and like completely different industry. I used to surf a lot off Scotland in the UK. And I remember one day, it was February and it was hailing so hard. We had to come in from the water and we're hiding on the beach under our boards, full wetsuits, like twat caps, the whole lot. And like I started to get holes in the board from the hail as I was hiding under it. And I just thought, enough, I'm off to Australia. So I booked a flight over to Australia.
That's funny.
Came in, look, industrial design wasn't really a thing here. It's quite there was no Kickstarter at the time. So getting stuff manufactured was harder. And there was no real, like, again, Australia's 20 million people at the time. There's not a huge customer base to sell to for manufacturing. So at the same point, tech was just starting to kind of find its feet here, like behind the States and behind Israel. But it was starting to go ahead, and I met my founder. And ultimately, you learn that design is design. Like, building a product offline and online is the same process. Building a brand offline and online is the same process. And we started something, we raised money, 2 years down, found a breakup, all that joy. But we just kept going. And I think it took us maybe 5 years of messing around before we got Bonjoro going. So, yeah.
Now, I'm kind of curious to unpack that a little bit. When you mentioned you were in industrial design, I'm like, oh, well, what are the correlations? But you said you feel like creating a product either way is the same. And I get that at its core. Yeah. But, what are there any differences that you've seen between trying to build a physical product company versus a software product?
I think the more time I spend in it, the more I realize how similar they are. They seem to be more like things that I used to think were different really aren't. Like go-to-market strategies are just as half both. Needing investment to build tooling, tool up for product versus investment to tool up for tech. Same thing. The difference I have is that I used to be a CAD genius. I would do all the designs and actually build the prototypes myself. Whereas for me to go and learn, I guess the code base that we work on now, the time wasn't worth the payback. I had a great CTO, so I would spend the time doing the brand, doing the high end design work, and then going and selling. So the only difference for me personally is that I can't get on and tool up the product, whereas in design I always could. That said, we're 15 people now. Like it's absolutely not the thing I should be doing anyway. We have too many other challenges. But like our team's remote around the world, so we're in 6 continents.
Wow. Now, did you ever wish you had any of that technical background?
Yeah, of course, like absolutely, because I like getting hands on. Like you learn at the end of the day. You even if I had it, I probably wouldn't be the guy on the tools like 95% of the time.
Yeah.
So, it's fine.
Yeah, it's funny. In my background, I started out in development and do something else and run this company, but I almost found it bad that I know how to do that stuff because then you dive in and start playing with it. You know what I mean?
Well, so we have an amazing UX design now. And as much like I enjoy doing design, like I will still go I can go in for like days. So I can still do product design, which obviously drives their development, but I don't because they're much better than me. And like they are like great, they're amazing like in their niche. Whereas I'm quite like when you start to run a company, you become quite broad. And if I did that, I would let down other parts of the company. So I think you have to just kind of suck it up. If you're creative or if you're a developer, honestly, like have your side projects that you work on purely for the pleasure, to keep yourself sane. But otherwise, if the company needs you to run the company, that's unfortunately now your job. Yeah.
I always find there's a book, I don't know if you ever read, E-Myth, where it talks about you're trying to start E-Myth?
Yeah.
So you're starting a business and it's really, even if you love baking bread, that's not what you're going to do. You're going to be the person that has to do the books and the sales. And then as you grow. And so, it's that interesting balance, I think, of like having passion for what you do. And that's why you got into it. But then realizing that you have to evolve as a person to do different things as the company grows and scales.
Yeah, scale is key. Like at the end of the day, the most important thing you can do is hire great people and then help them be their very best. Now, that's scalable, and if you can do that, you can build great, like amazing things very quickly, get in the right hands of the right people at the right time. If you have that skill to do that, that's how you grow a fast company. We are a design-led company, so we have design first. So we really look at that, and part of the brand and the bear suits comes from that background. That's been great for us. Like I think we've built an amazing brand in the space. I'd say our brand is as valuable as our product. That's helped us hugely. So I think having that attitude and coming from that background is a good thing anyway. And yes, you do look at things and be like, this isn't good enough. Let's get it better. So having the oversight is fine, but yeah, work on the business, not in the business.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, and that's hard for people to do, especially if you're like founder builder. It's hard to make that transition mentally from like worker, manager, leader as you go through. So it's interesting.
Like some founders come back to it. Some of the big guys, like the Atlassian guys, are back on product. Yeah, like you run like there's guys who built $billion companies and they're like, I just want to go back to being a product manager. Like that's fine. Hire a CEO. Like so you don't have to do it the whole way. You will have to do it at the beginning to get yourself going. There is a point that you can step back and go back into product. Once you hire the person to be the CEO. Yeah. I have a lot of friends that own businesses, and it's always this. What do you really want to be doing in the business day in and day out? And there are some guys that it isn't visionary, it isn't integrator, it's something specific. But then you have to be willing to hand those keys over to someone else. It's a learning curve. Like the other thing you find, like as a creative, you have a spiral where like you want everything to be perfect. Like I broke that a long time ago when I was like, you know what? quick is better than perfect any day of the week. Half built is better than fully built because we can learn straight away. So that's the other thing. You have to wait till your hands off the tools. You're like, you know what, it's fine. Just get out and learn. That's a hard cycle to break as well, I think.
That kind of so I was wondering about like any myths in the industry, like software, like developing software, that for people that are trying to start, what you would debunk and say that, this is what people think it is, but here's the reality.
Yeah, so maybe a couple of things. One, it's a long-term game, but that's like any business, yeah. So anyway, build a software company. You can call it a startup if you like. You're building a business, and if you go at it and try and build a startup and not build a business at the same time, you're gonna hit issues because you won't focus on revenue. You won't focus on growing a team. Like you're focused on potentially the wrong things. At the end of the day, like you're there to build a machine that makes money and. Building partnerships and doing stuff like all the stuff you would do in the offline business, you're still doing it in an online business, maybe in different ways. The other thing I think is to that point, so fundraising is interesting. Everyone, me included, were like, oh, we have to fundraise. But there's some amazing tech companies that are not fundraising and they're growing far faster than fundraising companies. And they're not first-time founders. So I think whenever you see this happen, it's people who well, again, this isn't their first rodeo. So like, on your side, like the guys that design Pickle, if you've never heard them, like Fortune 500 company, never raised a dime. They're like 6 years old. Like amazing. They're based in Arizona, I think. Scottsdale, yeah. ConvertKit is another one. So ConvertKit, never raised a dime, and they've hit like 20 million ARR in like six years. Mailchimp never raised any money. Yeah, had an agency and they built a product at the back of it. So with the fundraising thing, look, most people in startups end up doing fundraising for sure. I get it, yeah. But have a look at these companies that have done it without it. And again, they are more experienced, but they've actually grown like so much faster, or as fast as the best startups. Yeah. And they haven't done any fundraising. And I guess the point here is back to that business point, is that these guys, in order to do this, they've had to build like a business first that makes money and that could be self-sustaining. And they've had to take the really hard decisions very, very quickly, which if you raise funds, you've got more leeway and potentially you don't learn quick enough. So I'm not saying don't raise funds. I'm saying consider all the options, have a look at the other teams, try and reach out to founders who've done it without raising funds, see what that journey looks like. Even if you can take some lessons and you still raise, it's invaluable.
Yeah, I talked to a lot of new startup folks that are trying to build something, and I think it's a very personal thing whether you want to raise money or not. It's like personality, but I think you should be trying to get to some level of MRR that you've proven some value, you've got some leverage in the conversation, rather than just going out to investors with a grand idea. One, that's really hard to sell. And two, you're just going to lose, it's not going to be worth it at the end of the day. So
yeah, and it takes time. You raise money 3 or 6 months.
It really
go and sell the customers instead. I mean, you look like the product industry coming back to the design, like Kickstarter revolutionized that. It's interesting. When I left uni, I think the biggest failing they had is they never really taught us to go and start businesses. And they taught most people to go and get, amazing. And the guys, I went to a very good design school, and they were, running Virgin Airlines design and Mars and all these amazing companies. But they trained everyone to get jobs. And I was like, sure, taught us to do businesses, but at the same point, you still had to raise quite a lot of capital to go and to get a product to market is capital intensive. Now you have something like Kickstarter where you can do pre-sales. It revolutionized it because it meant people who were coming out of university could suddenly launch products. People who had no experience fundraising can launch it, and they're not giving away equity, which is pretty amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
How did you figure out your go-to-market approach? Was that just something, based over years, you had an idea how to do it? Did you bring the team together and really strategize, or did you just kind of naturally bootstrap around and figure it out?
Just try everything. I think we tried. So I think out of there's about 20 channels. We probably tried about 12 of them, I would say. Okay. There's a few that are probably out of our reach right now. But we've tried doing paid events, we've tried doing sponsorships, we've tried doing ads, we've tried doing like really focusing down on SEO and content. Like, so for us, we have 3 channels only. And the quicker you can find the channels that work for you and then double down those is the way to go. But you test to do this. Yeah. The chance of you getting it right first time, you might get 1. We think 3 is a really good number because it's enough to give you diversity and kind of like fail safe, but it's it's not too many to keep your head around. So we basically do a lot of what I call influence. So we don't do anything paid, but we do get invited on podcasts. We do have customers who will create videos of our products. We do have people talking about us on stage. We do get on stage sometimes if people ask us. So we do that quite a lot. We have a lot of advocacy in our customers, and we work specifically to try and, get that culture going with our customers. Our second channel is the product. So we have a natural viral element. People are sending videos as messages. People are seeing that and they're coming in and signing up. And so we work on that funnel. And then thirdly, we do content. So we do run a pretty good blog. What we found works for us is longer form educational content pieces. So we've done like 50-page books on like making like video funnels in your business to convert more leads. And for those, we curate it, but we actually go to our customers and we get all the content to be written by our customers. We have some pretty cool customers, so that helps a lot. But we found those 3 channels, the ones that work for us. So all we're doing right now is doubling down on those 3 and ignoring everything else, which allows for focus.
That's pretty great. Is there any big breakthrough that you've had over the years? Like one thing that was kind of a, really that piece that ratcheted things up for the business? Or was it a slow, like, hey, we're grinding through and making it happen?
It's a grind, man. It's all a grind. Like everything you do, everything. Yeah. So I think one of the guys at Bear Metrics wrote a really good blog on this. Like it's like the slow ramp of death. Like it's everything you do. If you build a new product piece. So we're about to launch something pretty big like next week, and everyone's like, it's gonna double the company. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's gonna make an incremental gain because no matter how good the pieces you do, and obviously at the very beginning you make much bigger jumps, but when you crack new things, like they really help in the long term, but that addition is spread out over probably like 12 months or 24 months. So you see like an incremental going up. Now you can't keep going up if you don't keep doing these. You will plateau. So you absolutely have to do them. But it's very rare you'll see a company that gets a step up. Yeah, we've had very early on we had a chap called Pat Flynn who came on board as a customer and then started talking about us. He's a pretty big influencer, and that really helped us with signups and I think trust. But since then we've had many more influencers come on board. Like him. And so again, whenever you get these, it's amazing. But now it's part of our funnel. It's something that we do on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So don't. I'm not being pessimistic, but don't expect like levers to check like fundamental levers. You have big levers for sure. You can change things, but they're not overnight things. They take a lot of work, and your changes will come over months, not overnight.
Yeah. So was we talked about the culture piece in the beginning, and I love the Bear, suits, jackets. Is the culture intentional, or is it something that happens naturally because of the personality and the people that you put around you initially? It'll
happen naturally at the beginning. As a small founding team, like your culture is going to be defined by your attitude. So we had 3 of us at the very beginning. We were all a bit quirky. And that started to lead down this, like, I am a driver. Again, like if you're a founder, you're probably going to drive it. Like I'm a creative, I'm a bit weird. So that kind of helps. But as you grow, you then have to work at that culture. So it doesn't take over from there. I think you have to keep working at it and you have to keep on it to get it to kind of spread and stay strong. Like your culture could be sent off track pretty quickly.
Yeah.
If you make a wrong hire or you go against one of your core values, you can like destroy that culture like overnight. A lifetime to the build, seconds to destroy. So I think at the beginning, when there's a couple of you, you'll have something there that is it. Find out the things that you really enjoy and customers really enjoy and team really enjoy. Write those down on a piece of paper, as your values. You don't have to get the wording right. But then try and stick to those and try and repeat those when when you hire new team members, like hire for culture first. Before you look at a line of code, find out if they're going to fit culturally. Like absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of that. I mean, over the year, I've had my business for 18 years, and you hire one person that's not a fit, and man, does it make an impact real quick. And then culture, or core values. I mean, we literally rate people 1 to 5 when they're interviewing, and even in their reviews. Like, are you meeting? Always innovate, be bold. These things that are important to us. So I get it, and I think I've learned over the years, having people around me that meet those core values, which are part of me, helps us all like just be together as a group and be in the same direction. So I love it.
And be brutally honest about what your values are. These are not things you even have to publish for the cut. Like, it's not for other people to see. Like forget that at all. Yeah. Like you take like, I think it's like Coke. Coke, it was Coke or Pepsi. One of them. Like, the culture was you'll have to step on everyone below you to get up the chain. And you know what? Massive company, worked very well, and they just attracted people who were just extremely hard-nosed and enjoyed that culture with them. And like, now, is that a great culture you want to tell everyone about? No, it's not. But they knew that, and they hired those people, and the company did really well. So, be brutally honest. So many culture things some people might not like. That's fine. Yeah, that's your culture. Okay.
Yeah, I remember I worked with a company, and one of their core values was about like charity and stuff. And you go around and ask the employees, and no one's ever given any money or spent any time. And it was really just this thing for PR. And I mean, then think about it though. You're attracting employees that care about the world and want to give back, and they're the ones coming in for interviews. They get there for a month, and they're like, these guys don't give a shit about anything.
Yeah, and you're gonna lose them, So again, be true to what you do. Culture's not a PR thing, and it'll make you hire the wrong people.
I like that. Culture's not a PR thing. That I totally agree. I like that. Like, just little nugget of that's what it is. Culture is not PR. It's pretty great. Let's see. So I'm kind of curious. Any big mistakes or challenges that you've run into over the years?
So many. Many.
But if you get, and I get it, but is there one that like sticks out in your mind of like, man, that was a tough moment, or I really screwed this up?
Look, I think if I go back to our first failure, it was building something people wanted, not something that people needed. So like I said to say, but I'll reiterate it again. When you build a business, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, build something people need, and you'll be more successful. If you're doing something which is a monthly revenue business, you have to have that because you have to keep people on for longer. Obviously, if you're building, things where you're selling pitches and stuff, that's it's slightly different, but you're actually still fulfilling a need. If you're saying art, you're still fulfilling a need because somebody needs to show off the fact that they are a creative at heart. Yeah, and so you need to understand that. Like, try and understand what the needs are rather than the wants. They don't want a picture. They need to do something. So if you understand that, you can sell a lot better. You will be more successful. And most people who start their first business, I don't think nail that. I don't think truly nail it. There's a really good talk by Michael Siebel at Y Combinator. He talks about this. Worth watching. And again, you just got to be brutally honest to yourself.
Yeah. Speaking of resources, anything over the years, like groups or books or mentors that have just like made a huge impact?
Yeah, so I actually run a group here. So I used to surf. Well, I still surf. I used to surf with a mate who ran another tech company, back in the day, and we would surf every Wednesday and every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. Even if we've been out drinking till 2 a.m. on a Friday, we still go, which had its setbacks. But we do it every single week, and then we start to have a few other founders join us. And we're surfing. We'd end up talking about shop, obviously, as you're out in the water, we're waiting for waves. We then did a trip away. We took like 10 of us, and we also took our partners as well. So 10 of us with partners, and we spent the weekend away, and we ended up in the evening. I think like 2 of the guys had just fundraised, and someone had done something else. And so we had them all like sit up on a stool and talk about those journeys, and we were friends. Now we have like 100. Well, we limit these weekends away to like 60 people, but the group's about 150 founders, mostly tech, but not always, around Sydney. And so we'll run these 2 to 3 times a year. We'll do a couple of beach trips and a ski trip, and we'll go away for a weekend. And again, it's all friends. Yeah, the number one thing is no dicks. So if you're a dick, you don't get to come again.
Yeah.
And we in the evenings we'll have 3 people, the same format, who've just raised or exited or fired a co-founder or done something difficult. Get up and talk, and then on the Sunday morning we'll have 3 people talk about potentially like a channel to market they've been really successful at and how they did that. Somebody else might talk about culture or whatever else. And it's been going out now for like 8 years. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. 10 kids that come along because everyone's obviously got on as well. And we're still bringing young people, but that as a support network is the best thing I've ever done. Like,
that's awesome.
And again, it was a happy accident. We never went out to go and build this. We don't charge people. There's no real. It's mostly friends. But those are the guys you end up talking to whenever you have difficulty. And if one of the other founders has difficulty, everyone's like, "Hey, you need to call so and so on."
Yeah,
he's having a hard time.
Yeah, I've been part of a couple peer networks, and that I mean, it being an owner, it can be a lonely place because some things you can't talk to employees about, or even spouses, or any of that. And sometimes you just need someone to call and say, "Man, it was a rough day, and I need some advice." So I get it. Yeah.
So find the people. Try to find people around your industry. Don't only have those. It's good to go outside, but if you're in tech, do bias towards tech because you're going to hit similar challenges versus if you're in an agency, you'll probably hit similar challenges there. Like you're there to learn from other people, and make sure that you're not the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah,
because then you get to learn the most.
So what's the next evolution stage for you and Bonjoro? I keep saying it wrong. Sorry.
That's all right. So look, we're 3 years in now. We have kind of an ethos of how we run the company, which is this idea of automate processes but never relationships. And so we're building out the platform to kind of satisfy that. So we're not really a video platform. And everyone's like, "Oh, you guys do the video messaging." What we actually do is we tell customers the right time to connect with their customers. So that's really what we're doing. Now, video is a very good way to do that. It's very transparent. But what we're looking into is okay, on a customer journey, lead sales, again, staying with you for years, what points should you be reaching out in person and injecting a bit of personal time to keep that customer with you for life? So what's the science behind when to do that? What are the best tools to use to do that? That's kind of where we're taking the platform. So a lot of product work this year, expanding the team to work with that. We've got a bunch of team coming over next week, and we're all going to do a big workshop and then go camping for a weekend.
That's awesome.
So it's going to be 2020 is going to be big. Yeah, I hope everyone comes. Flights and travel. It's looking like.
I know.
This
isn't water. This is Purell. I have to drink it so that I don't get coronavirus. So
I know. See the news. Australia has gone mad.
Oh, it's like I won't even. Our office. That's all it gets talked about is, and there's not even any cases of it anywhere near us, but yet it's still everywhere.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah. It's fascinating to see how humans and governments are behaving. I think there's a lot to it's not a good thing, but there's always a silver cloud. Like there's a lot to learn from this.
Yeah.
So I think running a business, like again, psychology and stuff is interesting to see how humans behave, how her mentality works. And that actually comes back into product because this is how you build things. This is how you build like your own culture and your tribe as well. So I think it's interesting looking at that. Take from it what you can.
That's awesome. So I appreciate you getting up at 5 a.m. and having a conversation with me. It's awesome. Are there any ways that you want people that listen or watch to connect with you or the team?
For sure. Look, if you ever like any advice or want to reach out, if you go to LinkedIn and type in Papa Bear, I will come up. I'm the guy in the bear suit. So if you want help, let me know. I had a lot of help getting here. So always willing to pass it on. If you want to check out Bonjoro, if you go and sign up, you'll get a video from one of my team here or in the UK or in the States or South Africa. So you'll be welcomed on board in person. If you reply to that video, then that will be the individual that you're talking to. So if you want to see it in action, give it a go. And if you want help, reach out anytime.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you again for taking the time early this morning. I appreciate it.
No worries, not taking the time. Your end too.
Awesome. All right, well, I'm gonna shut us down here. Cheers, and thank you again.
Cheers.